I caught my babysitter shapeshifting in the kitchen. Now she's hunting me and my family. I've always been an observant child. My mother says I notice things that others miss, picking up on the tiniest details that most people overlook. It's a gift, she tells me, one that will serve me well in life. But sometimes, I wish I wasn't so perceptive. Sometimes, ignorance truly is bliss. Because what I saw that night, well, it's changed everything. And now, I'm not sure who or what I can trust anymore. It all started when my parents decided they needed a night out. They'd been working overtime for weeks, barely seeing each other, let alone having any quality time together. So when Dad surprised Mom with tickets to her favorite band's reunion tour, she was ecstatic. There was just one problem. Me. At 12 years old, I was at that awkward age where I was too old for a regular babysitter but too young to stay home alone overnight. That's when Mrs. Shapiro from next door suggested her niece, Lily. She was new in town, having just moved here for college, and was looking for some part-time work. My parents were hesitant at first. They'd always been cautious about leaving me with strangers. But Mrs. Shapiro vouched for her niece, assuring them that Lily was responsible and great with kids. The day of the concert arrived, and with it came Lily. She showed up at our door promptly at 6 p.m., all smiles and warmth. She was pretty in that girl next door kind of way, with long chestnut hair, bright green eyes, and a smattering of freckles across her nose. She greeted my parents with a firm handshake and bent down to my level to introduce herself to me. "Hi there. I'm Lily. You must be Sarah. Your aunts told me so much about you," she said, her voice warm and friendly. I nodded shyly, offering a small smile in return. There was something about Lily that put me at ease almost immediately. Maybe it was her easygoing demeanor or the way she spoke to me like I was an equal, not just some kid she was stuck babysitting. My parents went through their usual routine of emergency numbers, bedtimes, and house rules before finally heading out for their date night. As the door closed behind them, Lily turned to me with a mischievous grin. "So, Sarah, what should we do first? I heard you're quite the artist. Want to show me some of your drawings?" And just like that, any lingering nervousness I had melted away. We spent the next few hours drawing, playing board games, and swapping stories. Lily was funny and kind, always ready with a joke or an interesting anecdote about her travels. By the time my bedtime rolled around, I was almost disappointed that the night was coming to an end. "All right, kiddo," Lily said, glancing at her watch. "Time to hit the hay. Why don't you go get ready for bed, and I'll be up in a few minutes to tuck you in." I nodded and trudged upstairs, brushing my teeth and changing into my favorite star-patterned pajamas. As I was settling into bed, I realized I'd left my favorite stuffed animal, Mr. Whiskers, downstairs. I debated whether to go get him or not. I was 12, after all, maybe too old for stuffed animals. But the thought of sleeping without him made me uneasy, so I decided to quickly run down and grab him. I crept down the stairs, trying to be as quiet as possible. I didn't want Lily to think I was sneaking around or disobeying her. As I reached the bottom of the stairs, I heard a strange noise coming from the kitchen. It was a sort of squelching sound, wet and unpleasant. Curiosity got the better of me, and I peeked around the corner. What I saw in that moment defied all logic and reason. It was Lily, or at least, it had been Lily. But now it was something else entirely. Her skin seemed to be melting. That's the only way I can describe it. It was as if her entire body had turned to wax and was slowly dripping off her frame. Her features were distorting, stretching and contracting in impossible ways. I watched in horrified fascination as her nose elongated, then flattened, then disappeared entirely, only to reappear moments later in a completely different shape. Her hair, which had been long and chestnut brown, was now writhing as if it had a life of its own. Strands of it were changing color, blonde, red, black, even unnatural shades of blue and green, before my very eyes. Her eyes, once a warm green, were now rapidly cycling through different colors and shapes. At one point, I swear I saw more than 2 eyes blinking at me from her shifting face. But the most terrifying part was her mouth. It stretched impossibly wide, revealing row upon row of sharp, needle-like teeth. A long, forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air like a snake. I stood there, frozen in fear, unable to move or make a sound. My mind was reeling, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. This couldn't be real. It had to be a nightmare, a hallucination, anything but reality. Suddenly, Lily, or whatever it was, stopped its grotesque transformation. Its head snapped towards me, those inhuman eyes locking onto mine. For a moment, everything was still. Then, its mouth opened in a horrific grin, and it spoke. Well, little Sarah, aren't you supposed to be in bed?" The voice was Lily's, but distorted, as if multiple voices were speaking at once. I wanted to run, to scream, to do anything, but my body wouldn't respond. I was paralyzed with fear. The thing that was no longer Lily took a step towards me, its body still shifting and changing. "You know, it's not polite to spy on people. Didn't your parents teach you that?" That broke me out of my trance. I turned and ran, my heart pounding in my chest. I could hear it behind me, its footsteps unnaturally quick and light. I raced up the stairs, taking them 2 at a time, nearly stumbling in my haste. I burst into my room, slamming the door shut and fumbling with the lock. Just as I heard the satisfying click of the lock engaging, something heavy slammed against the other side of the door. The wood groaned under the impact, and I stumbled backward, falling onto my bed. "Sarah, sweetie," Lily's voice called out, sickeningly sweet. "Open the door. We need to talk about what you saw." I shook my head violently, even though I knew she couldn't see me. "Go away," I screamed, my voice cracking with fear. There was a pause, and then a chuckle that sent shivers down my spine. "Oh, Sarah. You don't understand. I can't just go away. Not now that you know. But don't worry, I'll make it quick. You won't feel a thing." The door shuttered again as something hit it with tremendous force. I looked around frantically, searching for a way out, a weapon, anything that could help me. My eyes fell on my cell phone, sitting on the nightstand. With shaking hands, I grabbed it and dialed my mom's number. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Each ring seemed to last an eternity as the pounding on my door grew more intense. Cracks were starting to appear in the wood. Come on, I muttered, tears streaming down my face. Finally, on the fourth ring, my mom picked up. Sarah? Is everything okay? Mom, I cried out, relief flooding through me at the sound of her voice. Mom, you need to come home now. Lily, my words were cut off by a deafening crash as the door finally gave way. The thing that used to be Lily stood in the doorway, its form still shifting and changing. Its eyes, now a sickly yellow with slitted pupils, focused on me with predatory intent. I screamed, dropping the phone. I could hear my mom's panicked voice coming from the speaker, but I couldn't make out her words over the sound of my own terror. The creature lunged at me, its body elongating unnaturally as across the room in a single bound. I rolled off the bed, narrowly avoiding its grasp. Its claws, when did it get claws? Tore into my pillow, sending feathers flying everywhere. I scrambled to my feet and ran for the door, but it was faster. A hand, now more like a tentacle, wrapped around my ankle, sending me crashing to the floor. I kicked and screamed, trying desperately to break free. Now, it said, its voice a horrific blend of Lily's sweet tone and something inhuman and guttural. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. It began to drag me across the floor, towards its waiting maw. I could see its teeth, sharp and numerous, ready to tear into me. I closed my eyes, certain that this was the end. Suddenly, there was a loud bang, followed by a howl of pain. The grip on my ankle loosened, and I quickly scrambled away. I opened my eyes to see my mom standing in the doorway, a baseball bat in her hands. She must have broken every speed limit to get home so quickly. The creature that was once Lily was writhing on the floor, its form shifting even more rapidly now. It looked up at my mom, its face a horrific blend of human and something else. You. It snarled, its voice no longer even remotely human. How dare you interfere? My mom's eyes were wide with shock and fear, but her grip on the bat remained steady. Get away from my daughter, she said, her voice low and dangerous. The creature lunged at her, but my mom was ready. She swung the bat with all her might, catching the thing square in what passed for its face. There was a sickening crunch, and the creature stumbled backward. For a moment, it stood there, swaying. Then, to my horror, its face began to reform, bones snapping back into place, skin knitting itself back together. You can't stop me, it hissed. You have no idea what you're dealing with. My mom grabbed my hand, pulling me to my feet. Run, she yelled, pushing me towards the door. We raced down the stairs, the sound of inhuman screeching following us. As we reached the front door, I risked a glance back. What I saw will haunt me for the rest of my days. The creature was no longer even trying to maintain a human form. It was a writhing mass of tentacles, claws, and too many eyes, pouring down the stairs like some sort of nightmarish liquid. We burst out of the house, running towards our car. My mom fumbled with the keys, her hands shaking. I looked back at the house, expecting to see that monstrosity right behind us, but there was nothing. The door stood open, the house dark and silent. My mom finally got the car door open, and we piled in. She started the engine and peeled out of the driveway, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. We drove in silence for several minutes, both of us too shocked to speak. Finally, my mom pulled over to the side of the road and turned to me, her face pale and drawn. Sarah, she said, her voice shaking. What was that thing? I shook my head, unable to find the words to describe what I'd seen. I don't know, I whispered. It was Lily, but then, it wasn't. My mom pulled me into a tight hug, and I broke down, sobbing into her shoulder. We stayed like that for a long time, clinging to each other as if letting go would make the horrors we'd witnessed real again. Eventually, we drove to the police station. We spent hours there, trying to explain what had happened. The officers listened with skeptical expressions, clearly not believing our wild tale. They sent a patrol car to our house, but found nothing out of the ordinary. No signs of a break-in, no evidence of a struggle. Even the broken door to my room was intact. We stayed in a hotel that night, neither of us willing to return home. The next day, my dad returned from his business trip, and we tried to piece together some semblance of normalcy. But how can things ever be normal again? How can I forget what I saw? We moved shortly after that night. My parents said it was for Dad's job, but I know the real reason. None of us could stand to be in that house anymore, knowing what had happened there. I've tried to convince myself that it was all a dream, a hallucination brought on by stress or an overactive imagination. But deep down, I know the truth. What I saw that night was real. And the most terrifying part? Lily, or whatever that thing was, is still out there. Maybe it's found a new form, a new family to infiltrate. Maybe it's watching me even now, waiting for the right moment to finish what it started. So I'm sharing my story here, hoping that someone will believe me. And more importantly, hoping to warn others. Because if there's one thing out there, there might be more. So the next time you hire a babysitter, or meet someone new, or even talk to an old friend, look closely. Watch for the little things that seem off. The eyes that don't quite look right. The smile that's a little too wide. Because you never know who, or what, might be hiding behind a human face.